Hey guys, today on Riffs and Responses, I'm going to read and respond to a bunch of comments and questions, and I'm going to check out the Marshall Origin 50. Let's get started. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Riffs and Responses. If this is your first time here, this is where I not only read and respond to viewer comments and questions, but I also demo some stuff, try out some stuff, shoot out some stuff. I give you not only verbal answers to your questions, but I'll actually do demonstrations to back up my answers so that you can get all the information that you're looking for. I also cover some industry news if there's anything worth covering, and just a bunch of other stuff. So I hope you stick around. I hope you enjoy this episode. If you do, give it a like, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so you don't miss further episodes. One other thing real quick, I want to thank everyone who's been purchasing all of the presets and profile packages on my website, tonewars.com, linked below. I make presets and profiles for ToneX, Quad Cortex, and KEMPER, and they're all available on my website. I really appreciate you guys for purchasing those. Thank you very much. It actually helps me keep the lights on here, and I've been hearing a lot of great feedback on all of them, and I really appreciate that very much, and there's actually more to come. So keep your eye on my channel and my website for those things. All right, so let's get on with it. I'm going to do a quick demo of the Marshall Origin 50. I've been at Motor City several times, and I keep walking by this thing, and I'm just curious, like, what's this amp all about, you know? And I want to thank Motor City, my favorite gear store, for allowing me to take this thing home so I can demo it for you guys. If you're interested in this or anything else, there's an affiliate link below. Click on that and it takes you right to their website, and you can order whatever you want. They ship anywhere in the continental US. And as for right now, if you're outside of the state of Michigan and you purchase anything there, you don't pay any sales tax. So you'll get a really good deal on something. So anyways, well, I guess I got to interrupt my own video. I'm in editing mode. It's the next day after I shot this video, and I had some audio issues. Yay me. So I got to reshoot this whole segment all over again with this amplifier. But it is what it is, man. My job here is to give you the best sounding, production that I can give you, and it wasn't up to par for some reason. I had a glitch with something, and I have to redo it. So I never want anything to be misrepresented on my channel. So let's go ahead and start this whole segment all over again. I'm kind of bummed that I have to do this, but it is what it is. Okay, so I have the Marshall Origin 50 here, all right? And I have the Super Overdrive. You know, a lot of you guys gave me some crap last time I had a Marshall on, and they're like, you gotta have the Super Overdrive. Because it makes such a huge difference, you know? And we'll get to that in a minute. So I have that, and this is how I have it set up. I have the level all the way up. Tone, 1 o'clock, and then I have the drive at 3 o'clock on it, okay? And if I do anything else, it just sounds terrible with the amplifier. So these are the best settings with this amp without it sounding awful. And we're going to go ahead and start with the amplifier without the pedal, and then I'll engage it. Here are the settings on the amp, right here. And I have everything cranked. I even have the gain cranked. I have the volume up pretty high. And yeah, so I'm just trying to make this sound as good as I can get it. So let's start with the amp with no pedal. All right, so there it is without the pedal. It's a classic rock amp, it's like a plexi kind of sound. So actually sounds pretty cool. Doesn't have a ton of gain, like amps that I like to use, but I don't care. I'm just demoing an amp here, and I want to see if you like it. So now let's engage the Super Overdrive, and let's see how it sounds as soon as I turn that on. Okay, so it definitely wakes it up and gets more aggressive, and you know, the feel and response is better. I'm gonna mess with the pedal. I'm hearing a little bit of, like, I don't know, this kind of crumbly sound. Let me see if I can adjust that out on the amp and the pedal. You know, just trying to fine tune it here and see what I can do. All right, that's a little bit better. By the way, this amp does have an effects loop. It's off, and I have the effects loop, you know, switch on my switcher off as well. So there's no effects loop involved here at all, just for all the purists out there. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how it sounds with that pedal. Now, let me just to prove a point here, because I like doing that, especially when people come on my channel and tell me how to do my job. I'm going to switch from the Super Overdrive to the Mud Killer, and the Mud Killer pretty much has the same settings, you know. In fact, let me adjust the tone, because I did that. Now it's the exact same settings, and let's see how different they sound. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start with the Super Overdrive, and when you see me reach down, I'm switching to the Mud Killer. Actually, I think the Mud Killer sounds a little better. Weird, huh? Let's switch back from the Mud Killer to the Super Overdrive. Yeah, they sound pretty similar, but with the Mud Killer, I feel like I'm getting a little more aggressive top end. So I kind of prefer that, you know? I mean, so to each their own, but it's just funny how I'm switching back to the Mud Killer now for the rest of the video. But it's funny how people want to give me shit in my videos and like, oh, well, that's why this amp didn't sound right or whatever, because you didn't use the Super Overdrive or whatever. And it's just like, guys, I know what I'm doing, okay? I'm surrounded by gear, all right? I live in a gear laboratory, basically. I have tons of pedals and amps. I've done tons of shootouts and dial-ins and, you know, all kinds of stuff with amplifiers. I'm pretty familiar with what works and what doesn't. So it just drives me nuts sometimes when people are like, oh, you're using the wrong pedal, and if you did this, it would make a huge difference. No, it does not. It doesn't make a big difference. Stop reading crap on the internet and then regurgitating it on people's videos. You know, I mean, it just drives me nuts. So anyways, I'm going to stick with the Mud Killer because I actually think it sounds better and the feel is a little bit better with this amplifier and pedal combination. To each their own, but that's the way I like it. And yeah, so let's do some Van Halen riffs and some Dokken and stuff like that, and just hear what this amplifier sounds like. Well, I threw an extra riff in there, Bark at the Moon, just for the hell of it. Yeah, this amp, once I acclimated to it with this pedal, it actually sounds pretty good. The feel is good. It's definitely not for metal, it's for classic rock, but I mean, I think it sounds pretty damn good for what, you know, for what it does. And I'm glad I got a chance to try it out with the Super Overdrive, because I kept hearing from my last video about how that's the only pedal you're supposed to use with Marshall amps to make them sound right. And you know, it doesn't matter, okay? That pedal, honestly, is a decent pedal. There's nothing wrong with it. But I honestly preferred it with the Mud Killer. I thought that the Mud Killer made it sound better, and it had a better attack when I played it, and it was more responsive. So to each their own, but don't listen to people when they tell you you got to use a certain kind of pedal all the time with amps. I mean, there's a lot of different overdrives out there, and they all do something a little bit different. But for the most part, you know, they're all kind of similar in some ways, but there's these little nuances and little things that, you know, make amps sound better or respond better to different pedals, and you got to pick the right one that works best for you. Now, there's exceptions to that. Now, I think that the, you know, the Odd Box is one of the exceptions. That pedal is quite a bit different than most of the other pedals out there. So if you're playing a more sculpted amp, you definitely want to play that, but it would not work with something like this. This amp's pretty loose, so you need something that's going to tighten it up quite a bit, and I think the Mud Killer does a better job than the Super Overdrive. So if you're playing a Marshall and you want to try something a little different, add a little different flavor to it, try the Mud Killer. I think you would really like it, and I think a lot of you guys would prefer it over the Super Overdrive. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this segment, and I want to thank Motor City Guitar again for allowing me to take this home so that I can do a demo for everybody, and I really appreciate that store very, very much. On with the rest of the video. The first comment is from Lee Henderson 8132, and this is on my Friedman JEL20, the Honeymoon is Over video. He said, Friedman is overrated, overpriced, Chinese tubed crap. If you want a Marshall, buy a Marshall, or a Victory, or Orange, or I don't see long life with these amps. Sorry. Well, thanks for commenting and sharing your thoughts. I mean, that's what this channel is all about. And I want to give everybody a, you know, free space to do that. I'm all about free speech. So whether I agree with you or not, I still want to hear from you. Now, just to clarify, on that video, yes, the honeymoon is over with the Friedman JEL, but it doesn't mean I don't like it. It just means I'm past the honeymoon phase, and I still like the amp just as much as the day I bought it. So just to, you know, clear the air about that. You know, the thing is like I've played a number of Marshalls on the show, and they don't really work for me. There's always something about them. They're kind of old-fashioned sounding, in my opinion, you know, for what I do, okay? If you play classic rock, then Marshalls are great. But there's just always something missing with them. And basically, a lot of Friedman amps are hot-rodded Marshalls, basically. And not all of the Friedman amps work for me either. In fact, the JEL was the first one that really works for me big time. And I'm not ragging on his other amps. I'm just saying, you know, depending on the style of music you play, you'll like one of his amps over the other. And I just prefer the JEL20 because I really like how it's voiced and it's got enough gain and aggression for me. So that amp really works for me big time, so I really like it. But you know, as far as like how they're made and everything, I mean, they're made here in America. I mean, you know, Dave Friedman does make high quality stuff and he uses high quality components and stuff like that. And yeah, his amps are, you know, pricey compared to some other ones, but anything made in America is going to be. Now, as far as the Chinese tube thing, I don't know. You know, I don't dig that deep into stuff, but all I can say is the phone that you probably typed all of that stuff on worked properly, right? And your comment came through and I was able to read it on my phone that was built in China. So, and everybody that's watching right now is probably watching on something that's built in China too. Now, I'm not saying that everything built in China is amazing, but I'm just saying that it is what it is regarding stuff built in other parts of the world. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, you know. But so far, I haven't had any problems with this amp. And I've always heard that Friedman has a great track record regarding reliability and build quality on his amplifiers. But hey, to each their own. Again, thanks for commenting and sharing your thoughts. That's what this channel's all about. Okay, this next comment is from Jess Hoops 7042. He said, a lot of amps are outrageously priced right now. And to your point that there is alternatives to all of them, instead of singling out the Magnatone, show solid alternatives to all of them for those who will find that info helpful. Well, thanks for commenting. This is on that Magnatone video I did about how expensive it is. I mean, that amp's like $7 grand, including the cab. Ridiculous. One thing I can do is I can point you to Cherryatone. Go to Cherryatone's website. And in fact, I will post a link in the description of this video to Cherryatone, and you can check out their amps. He has a ton of awesome amplifiers on his website that are hand-built, hand-wired, and they are a fraction of the cost of a lot of the heavy hitters out there. And they're basically like his take on all of these different amplifiers out there that for a lot of us are unaffordable, but if you get one of his amps, they're very affordable. And I'm just telling you, man, he makes really good stuff. I've played a few of his amps and they're freaking awesome. So check out Cherryatone. And I know that's one company, but he makes a ton of different amplifiers that are his versions of a ton of other big heavy hitter names that are out there. And like I said, they're very affordable, and I really think you'll like them. So go check them out. Okay, this next comment is from Vox Pathfinder, and he says, Jarrod, I think the trick to doing YouTube gear reviews is to sell the gear after your reviews or series of reviews. It's a hard pill to swallow since we all want to collect stuff, but the profits from YouTube is mostly about recuperating as much as your investment into the gear by selling, and hopefully YouTube earnings recuperates the difference and a few pennies of profits. Well, thanks for commenting, and this was a this was a response to a comment that I was responding to. And you know, in one of my videos, that I was basically just telling somebody because they wanted me to buy some stuff for the channel so that I can do different things. And I'm just like, dude, haven't I bought enough? Haven't I bought enough for what I'm doing here? And I mean, you're only seeing half of what I have. There's tons of stuff in here that is off camera that you don't even see. That's, you know, necessary for me to do these videos and live streams and everything else. So I could have literally paid off my house with the money that I invested into this channel. So yeah, it's not cheap to do this, you know. So are you basically telling me that there are people on YouTube who, you know, buy gear to demo it and then afterwards sell it? I mean, in order for that to happen, I mean, why would they go buy new gear? It costs too much. So they would probably have to go on Revv, chisel somebody down on their price, get the gear, demo it, and then after they demo it, then put it up for sale on their Revv page and then sell it, you know, to people so they can recoup their costs and hopefully make a little bit of profit to keep the lights on their channel. You know, here's the thing. I don't think that that kind of system works for me. And here's why. Because in my opinion, I think that we're getting into the dark side of the gray area regarding gear reviews now. Because if you buy a piece of gear from somebody on Revv so that you can demo it and now you have to sell it, and not only do you have to sell it, but you can't take a loss on it, why would you do that? Because you got your time and everything invested in the video, and on top of that, you don't want to lose the money that you invested into the piece of gear either. You don't want to lose anything, and really what you want to do is make a profit on it, right? So doesn't your demo or review of that piece of gear just turn into a commercial for the gear that you have to now sell on your Revv page at a profit? So how are you going to be objective about it? How are you going to say, like, well, this is pretty cool, but I don't like this, this, and this about it? You know, it just becomes a commercial for stuff that you're selling on your Revv page. And to me, that just doesn't fit with my ethics anyways. Now, I'm not the YouTube police. Far be it from me to tell people how to run their channels, but I'm just saying that that isn't something I'm comfortable with doing, because again, how can I be objective about a piece of gear that I now have to turn around and sell and hopefully at least make my money back on so that I can keep things going here? I don't really think that's the way to do things. If people are doing it, good for them. Hopefully they're disclosing that information so that people can, you know, take all that stuff in and weigh it in with their opinions. And I just feel like if people do that, they have to withhold their constructive criticism about that gear in the demo or the video, because again, they're going to lose money on it, or might not even be able to sell it at all. So I guess hopefully people that are doing that are at least being transparent about how they attain the gear and how they're you know, trying to sell it or whatever afterwards. I mean, you know, like I said, I want my demos and my reviews to be actual reviews, not commercials for gear that I now need to sell so that I can recoup my costs and put some money in my pocket. I don't think that's very ethical for me anyways, but if other people want to do it, that's fine. I'm not going to judge them for that, but I just don't think that I'm comfortable doing things that way. And on top of that, you have to make the gear look good in the thumbnail and say all these nice things about it in the thumbnail, like, oh, this is the best one, and, you know, I found the one, or, you know, whatever it is that you got to do to make it seem like it's an awesome piece of gear so that people will want to buy it from you. And it's one thing to try to entice people to watch your video, but it's another thing altogether to create thumbnails that not only entice people to watch your videos, but to also buy your gear to help keep your channel going. And again, you're not saying anything objective about it at all. So I just don't think that that's a really good way of doing things. But again, that's just my opinion. Now, I know some of you are like, well, what's the difference between that and reviewing a piece of gear that was sent to you by a company or whatever? Well, that also requires some ethics. Now, if somebody sends me a piece of gear and there's some pretty big issues with it, I will contact the company privately and not review it and just say, hey, just as a courtesy to you, these are some things that I noticed about this piece of gear. Are you aware of these things? And if not, now that you are aware of them, is it something that you want to address? And then after you address these things, maybe I could do the review then. Because I don't want to badmouth you, but I also don't want to try to talk people into buying this piece of gear and spin it in a way where it's not a big deal, or not even talk about it. You know, sweep the problems under the rug and hopefully people will get sales. And honestly, if I don't like a piece of gear, I won't review it. I'll just send it back to the company and say, well, thanks for your time, thanks anyway, but I'm just not interested because this doesn't work for me. Or like I said, I'll give them an opportunity to fix it before I do the review, and then after it's fixed, I'll do the review. You know, that's kind of what I like to do for companies, is like behind the scenes, help them out, help them improve the product so that when it does get released, or before too many people buy it, those issues get taken care of. But I sure as hell ain't going to sweep stuff under the rug. I will respectfully talk about things that maybe don't work for me on this piece of gear, but just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean it's not good. Just like the Marshall amp that I opened up the video with. It doesn't work for me, but it doesn't mean it's not a good amp. I'm a metal player, and it's obviously not a metal amp. But I point those things out so that in case you are a metal player and you think it sounds pretty good and stuff, you know, I'm just going to be like, well, dude, you know, it's a pretty cool amp, but if you play metal, you probably want to get something different, because as good as it sounds in the video, and it did sound pretty good, you know, once you get it, you're going to realize really quick that no, this will not do metal, you know. So it's just a whole transparency thing. So I hope that any channels that are doing, you know, what Vox Pathfinder suggested, like buying gear and flipping it and stuff like that to do reviews, I hope that they're being transparent about that. But again, I'm not the YouTube police. I'm not the arbiter of everything's good and pure and honest. I'm an imperfect person on YouTube as well. But I'm just saying, I hope that transparency is happening with those types of channels. I mean, all I can say is my gear demos are demos and reviews. They are not commercials for anything that I want to sell. All right, this next comment is from the Ramarani. I think that's how you pronounce it. He says, who are your personal favorite guitarists? Oh, good question. Well, number one is going to be John Petrucci. I mean, he is definitely my favorite guitar player. He's awesome. You know, I've learned so much from him, and I just think he's amazing. His solos are so melodic and, you know, shreddy and amazing. You know, there's just nothing I don't like about them. I mean, he has the most well-constructed solos out there. I just think that he can do no wrong on the guitar. I just think everything he does is exactly what the song called for. He always serves the song and puts that first. And there's just a lot of great melodies, but also some great technical things in his playing. And he just seems to blend those two very well, and he never sacrifices the melodies so that he can shred his ass off. I just think there's a perfect amount of everything in his solos, and I've never heard a guitar player put all of those different elements in a solo and balance everything out so perfectly like he does. And he's a phenomenal player. But more importantly, he's a phenomenal writer, and I just love how he just takes the solo and creates its own moment in the song, and it's very special. And if you watch them live, the whole audience goes nuts after every one of his solos because they're special. You know, they really are, and they're amazing. And you don't see that a lot in live concerts today. So he's definitely one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites, obviously, Eddie Van Halen. I mean, if he's not everybody's favorite guitar player, at least on a list somewhere, that would be a shame. I mean, Eddie is just, he was just incredible. You know, Eruption blew me away. I learned so much from him too, and the tapping and the different things. But more importantly with Eddie, his rhythms were actually even better than his solos. I mean, if you haven't tried to play some of his rhythms, I suggest that you do, and you'll have a whole new appreciation for who he was as a guitar player. Try playing 5150. Try playing Show Your Love. I mean, try playing anything off of Van Halen 1. I mean, it's just incredible. You know, the rhythms are just amazing. So he's definitely one. Brad Gillis from Night Ranger, he was the one that got me started on the whole whammy bar thing and the chirping, you know, the whole fluttering, whatever you want to call it, on the whammy bar. And before I learned how to do that, I had Kahler systems that didn't float, and after I heard what he did on Don't Tell Me You Love Me, that whole part of the end of his solo, I was like, how did he do that? And a friend of mine was like, well, you got to get a floating trem. So I immediately switched to Ibanez and got a floating trem, and I've been playing floating trems ever since. And we're talking early 80s here. So I just learned a lot from him, not just the whammy bar stuff, but other things too. I mean, he's just an incredible player, and he's just still kicking ass today. And his playing is effortless when you watch him do it, but when you try to do it, it's not effortless. So he's definitely another one that's amazing. And then Mats Hugin from Circus Maximus, I think he's amazing. And gosh, who else, man? I'm probably going to leave out a bunch of people because I'm literally doing this on the spot here. Steve Vai, amazing player. Joe Satriani, you know, I mean, they're all great players, but I would say my easy top ones are going to be John Petrucci, Eddie Van Halen, Brad Gillis, George Lynch, and then there's Alex Lifeson, who rounds out the top 5, and Alex is just amazing. When I was younger, I learned a lot from him as well. The first time I heard 2112, I was blown away at his work on that, and he's just such a great writer. His solos are so unique, and nobody sounds like him, and he plays those huge chords. He's even got chords named after him, the Lifeson chord, you know, That's the Lifeson chord. So, I mean, there's just so much that he's done for guitar players, and I think he's one of the most underrated guitar players out there as well. I think he's incredible. So definitely Alex Lifeson too. He's had a huge impact on me. In fact, my writing style for my songs is kind of like him as far as how I structure things. So I would say he's one of the biggest influences on me regarding how I structure songs. I mean, the second verse is always different than the first verse. I always play it differently and stuff like that. I got that stuff from Alex Lifeson. So yeah, those are my top 5. All right, this next question is from Pavik6315. He said, what are your gain settings for the MT-15? Mine doesn't sound like this, LOL. Well, all right, so basically I have the gain at, oh, where is it? It is at just at 1 o'clock on the amp. And I'll tell you what the rest of my settings are. Presence is at 3 o'clock, and bass is at 10 o'clock, middle, 11 o'clock, treble, 2 o'clock. So that's basically how I have it set up. Now, the main thing with this amplifier is it's a little on the dark side, so you can go kind of extreme with those settings regarding presence and treble. But the other thing you want to do is you want to boost the amp, because that's going to give it that really nice edge that it needs, and it's going to tighten it up. So I suggest the Mud Killer. I think it's a great pedal for it, and you can actually get away with cranking the tone knob on that pedal all the way up, keep the gain all the way down, the volume all the way up, and then you can put the fat skinny knob kind of in the middle. So let's go ahead and hear what the amp sounds like with that pedal. And in fact, I'll turn it off for starters, and then I'll engage it after I play a couple riffs. And I'll show you how brutal this amp can really sound once you dial it in right and boost it. Yeah, it sounds incredible, especially if you dial it in right and boost the shit out of it with the proper pedal. I love the Mud Killer because it's very flexible, and depending on where you have that fat skinny knob, it really tailors your amp perfectly. So let's hear it in a full mix. I'll just do a quick mix for you with this amp, and it just sounds really freaking good now. Well, sounds freaking killer, man. So try those settings out and let me know what you think. This next comment is from Real Guitard, and this is on my HX Stomp video that I just did the other day. He says, don't know what voodoo you had going on, but that sounded legit realistic. Compared to your Quad Cortex video, this Line 6 vid made the Quad Cortex sound so tiresome, modeler sounding. Interesting. I'm thinking Line 6 and ToneX future units are going to take things to the next level, but we are talking at least another year or two for the wait. Well, thanks for commenting. I'm glad you enjoyed the video and liked how I made the HX Stomp sound. And I have to say, I'm really blown away at that preset. That's the one I did of the Oblivion amp with my 2 impulse responses that I put in there, and I think it sounds incredible. Now, whether or not it sounds better than the Quad Cortex, that's really up to everyone else to decide. I think they both sound great, and like I've said before, with modelers, especially modelers such as the Line 6 stuff, I really think it's all about the impulse responses. I mean, so many impulse responses out there are so overly sculpted, and the life is just sucked out of them because of the way they make them and sculpt everything to death to make them mix ready, which actually makes them trash ready, in my opinion. They just don't sound good. And what I did with mine is I didn't do all that crap. I mean, I left it up to you to how to sculpt them, and I just pulled out about 130 hertz as far as the low end goes, and I did a high cut down to 6K, and I think it sounds incredible. I mean, so this is what the preset sounds like right here. I'll go through all 3 of the snapshots for you really quick, and I think it came out really freaking good. Yeah, it just sounds really good. So those are the 3 snapshots that I used, and the first one was just a dry crunch. The second one was like, I call it big crunch. It's got some chorus and delay on it, and the delay's modded, so I kind of like how that sounds. And the third snapshot was for lead, so a little more gain, a little more delay and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it sounds incredible. I really do. And again, it really is all about how you dial in the amplifier and, most importantly, the impulse responses that you choose. By the way, that preset will be available on Line 6's marketplace very soon, probably Monday or Tuesday, so take a look at their marketplace and check for it, and it will be available very soon for you. And I appreciate everyone who's been purchasing those presets from me as well. Well, guys, that about does it for this week. I hope you enjoyed the episode. And to all my Patreon supporters and subscribers, I really appreciate you guys very much. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of sarcasm this week. Sometimes it's fun to get a little bit sarcastic to blow off some steam, right? And if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and click the bell so that you can be notified every time I either go live or come out with another episode. I got a lot more stuff coming up for you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.